Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and welcome back to the Outsiders channel, and today we're going to be talking all about a video I recently saw. It's a video reply really, but it's also a question of the week. I'm going to do it on Fridays. I think it'd be a great idea to have like a question of the week go out and see how people want to respond. But Andrew was talking on his channel Dragonforgedcast about point buy. Is it legit? His thoughts and feelings around that, which I thought was a very good video, and I've done something on point buy before, but it's a great subject to come back to because each time you revisit a subject, sometimes you're able to add more weight onto the subject because of your experiences, and that's what I'm hoping to do in this video really. I'm going to quickly put my point of view across, and it is my point of view. I'm not supporting, poo-pooing or anything like that, because as I always say, and I come back to my default point, which is, you know, it all depends on the groups, to be perfectly honest, and it also depends an awful lot on the system as well. And from a designer's point of view, something that often isn't talked about within the videos, I think it's very important to mention straight off the top, is the fact there is a certain amount, in good systems, there is a certain amount of mathematics at play. That's a reality. To understand how level systems cap out and how they work, there is a certain level of mathematics at play. And you see that all the time in what I call very well organised systems. And I'm going to lump 3rd edition into that category, and that includes Pathfinder 3.5 3rd edition, all those things, any D20 product really generally. They have a very good engine at its core. Now it's a good engine because it covers all the bases. Yeah, it covers all the bases very well. It fluffs in all the detail very nicely. It does a very good job of that, and it's a very popular system because I really believe, sorry about that, I really believe that it took Dungeons and Dragons to a whole new level and audience at the right time. The boom came at the right moment. Now, there have been point buy has been around for a while, but it's been very since the advent of 3.5 and 3rd edition, and Pathfinder particularly, because that is now without a doubt the biggest system. It's become pretty much most DMs will use point buy. A lot of DMs will use point buy. I shouldn't say pretty much, but a lot will use it. If we were being honest and we were able to take a survey, I think a lot of DMs will say that they use point buy in Pathfinder. Now the reason for that is because of the maths in play, and obviously if you roll a character straight, so wherever the stats fall, that's what you get. You've got to live with it. For certain games, that's perfectly understandable, acceptable, but in Pathfinder, you're already, you know, potentially in a problem area for a number of reasons. It could be that the stats are all over the place and that the best stat falls where the player doesn't feel comfortable. We've already spoke about player types before in my videos about how important it is for certain player types. They actually come for a particular reason. They like to play a certain type of character. So for them not to be able to play that character, it isn't going to be an option. They're probably still going to play it even with a worse stat in it. And that's, you know, they're going to get fairly heavily penalised for that, because let's be honest, these systems don't reward you for having low stats, do they? They reward you for having high stats, you know. And the problem with point buy, I'm going to quickly move back onto that, is, you see, point buy in its essence is very good because it on the theory behind it is everybody's of course on an even playing field, and of course that's true. You can all use those points. But then there is an issue, and the issue is twofold really. You could say that we're all on an even footing, but it all depends on your definition of how you like to play. I think that some of the players that I know very well, I've said before in my videos, some of them are some of the best players I have are power gamers without a shadow of a doubt. They know how to get, you know, min-max to the hilt. They know how to get the best out of the system. So if you give them a Pathfinder as its written game, and you give them a point buy system, no matter what level of point buy you use, they're going to use those points very efficiently. Now another person who may be not as familiar with the system, who then goes to have a crack at that, will do his best or her best, but may not be able to obviously duplicate anywhere near what that person's done. Which, you know, in essence, you could say that's down to experience. But equally then, they're penalised because they don't know the system very well, which that's surely not right either, is it? And then of course you get the people who I would call are the genuine role players, who don't care about point buy actually, and all they want to do is put the points where they feel it's important. And so for them as well, certain systems penalise them, because, you know, if you put certain stats in because you believe that's the image of the character, then if it's low, you're not going to get nothing for it. Now they'll accept those penalties because that's the way they are. They're what I call the actors, the method actors, and there's a swing really. And I think you've seen this in my more advanced videos where you have the narrative control and then you have the power gamers on the other end. These are two different types of people, two different player types that can come into your games. And this video, by the looks of it, is probably going to run over 2 videos, so I apologise. But I think it's important to scope out the topic. But they come into it for vastly different reasons. But yet one side of them, that's quite a big area, is going to get penalised for the way that they want to play the character. Because they are, because the stats are going to be affected, so therefore the skills are going to be affected, therefore all sorts of things are going to be affected by the character. It could even be that they get less of certain things that they really need. There's no fairness in that. So when people talk about, point buy is a very fair system, everybody gets the same shake, it's not actually strictly true, because it depends an awful lot on your definition. What I think point buy generally does, it encourages a certain type of play, because you're rewarded for building the very, very best. And there's nothing wrong with it. I've had lots of people come to me who want to see power gaming videos, who want to see a video about putting together the best character of a particular type that I can come up with. And I'm not against that as such. And it's funny actually, because I've spoke to the original Andrew Dragonforgedcast in regards, we're going to probably do a collaborative video in regards to taking a particular class from Pathfinder, and both of us know that we're going to do a video on a certain day, and that we're both going to launch our video on that day, so that each other doesn't know what the other's done, so that you guys can see how we've approached the build, which I think is a very good way of doing that, and I think it'll be very interesting to explore those. So again, that might also help put some more depth on this very subject, to be honest with you. Now, in the games that I've run, coming back to point buy, I have run games using point buy, but what I found over many years of play now, because you think how long 3rd edition has been out for, it's a good long length of time. We've been running it consistently, as you know, anybody who knows me, I've been running it solidly. I've been running all sorts of games, but without a doubt, through all that period of time, it's either been a 3rd edition product that's been running all the time, 3.5, still 3rd edition, or Pathfinder, still 3rd edition. So we've been running it for a long time, 10 plus years. So I think we can speak with some clarity, and I can also add that, obviously we've been involved with it to a degree. I think we can add some clarity on it, that what does point buy, what does it encourage? And I think without a shadow of a doubt, I think we know the answer to that, what it encourages. If you give 10 players, and I'm not talking narrative players here, I'm talking about 10 people who consider themselves to be power gamers, put them into 10 rooms, give them a class build to do on a certain point buy level, you'd be amazed at how many will come up very similar. That's really vanilla, that really hurts the hobby in so many ways. That hurts, from a DMing point of view, that really sucks. And I get really fed up with it, to be honest with you. I want to see more of, for example, what DCC Games have done. And this is Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG, which Markcrew did a video on recently, which is great. And I really must put a link on here for Markcrew's video. But why I think that shows another side of the hobby is that's the other extreme. That's the one where, you just roll the stats in order, you have to take what you've got, you get a few characters to start with. By the law of mathematics, one will survive. That's the character you're going to play and love. And it's amazing, actually, it really works, that players do fall in love with it. And I know why they fall in love with their characters, because when you go very back to the beginning of this hobby, it was pretty much, even if you were being a generous GM, it was only 4d6, drop the lowest, take what you get. Some GMs would force you to take them where they lie. And I do see that. But I also see the value of, here's your stats, you roll them, you put them where you want, but that's what you got. You got to roll, you got to go with that. And I think that pleases both camps. I'm more in favour these days to try to get away from some of the issues of actually being quite tough. Still letting the power gamers play their game, and still letting the narratives play theirs. But the way you do that is simply to allow both camps, you roll dice, you decide on the system, but you roll the dice, and wherever they fall, sorry, rephrase that, you roll the dice and you assign them where you want. Both camps get pretty much what they like, and that way it's still relatively fair. Ultimately, you could argue that somebody could be more lucky than other, and that does happen, of course. We've all seen it. But over the great span of the game, I think it comes down to a lot more than just having good stats. If it was only so simple to just have good stats, then why wouldn't everybody have 18s? it doesn't make any sense. It's not about that. There's so much more to this wonderful hobby than just the stats. But the video that Andrew put out, without doubt, is excellent. It's only 5 minutes long, where mine's double that, but he does a good job in going through the positives and the negatives of it. But I wanted to give another spin on it here. I think I've covered off what I wanted to say. Unfortunately, it's been in one video, so I'm pleased about that. I think we don't need to recap it because I think it's fairly straightforward. That's my viewpoint on it, my take on it. I'll also put a link to Andrew's video because I think that's very good. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been Outsiders. Till the next time, yourselves, take care and happy gaming and have a great weekend.